We're going to go inside?
No.
Yes, we're going inside. Yes. Oh, Mummy, have you carried it?
In part 2, we look at some of the causes of child behaviour problems. These include our children's genetic makeup, the family environment, and influences from the wider community around them. We also look at monitoring, or how to keep track of behaviour. All children inherit a unique genetic makeup. Along with physical features like the colour of their eyes and skin, children may also inherit their temperament from their parents. Some children are more sociable and outgoing, demanding lots of attention. Others are very active or busy and constantly explore their surroundings. Others cry and fuss a lot and are difficult to settle into feeding and sleeping routines. Within the first 2 years of life, differences in temperament can be related to whether or not they go on to develop behavioural problems. However, not all difficult babies develop behaviour problems as children, and some easy babies do.
Some syndromes and disabilities can increase the chances that a child will develop specific behaviour problems. For example, rocking, toe walking and self-injurious behaviour are some of the behaviours that are more commonly found in children with certain syndromes. However, children's behaviour depends not only on their temperament and disability, but on how others react to their behaviour.
As parents, we can't alter our children's genetic makeup. However, we do have some control over the family environment. There are important things that happen in homes that can influence whether or not children develop behaviour problems.
No, we're not pulling these down the top because that's not how we play the game.
In trying to understand children's behaviour, it's helpful to have some understanding about how they learn from their environment. This can be useful in preventing problem behaviour in the first place, and if problems do emerge, deciding how to deal with them.
Pink dress.
Many behaviour difficulties in children relate to the day-to-day, moment-to-moment interactions that take place between themselves, their parents and their siblings. There are several ways that children can learn misbehaviour. The first is accidental rewards. An accidental reward can occur when children get what they want by misbehaving.
For example, buying a toy for a child who's nagging during a shopping trip. Or in this case, a child who continually interrupts gets a biscuit to stop the interrupting.
No biscuit. No, yes, dinner's going to be ready soon. That's right, dinner. Dinner. So no biscuit. No yogurt. No, you wait for dinner.
Eventually, the parent gives in, just to stop the interruptions.
You have a biscuit. Just leave me. Mummy's cooking dinner. I'm trying to get dinner ready. I'm running late. There you go.
When demanding behaviour gets results, it's more likely to be repeated. Another accidental reward can be attention.
Oh, isn't he cute? Come on down and sit with us, Jay.
Come with us.
If we laugh or smile at what they do, we may accidentally give our child a message that the behaviour is funny and it's okay, like giving a child a cuddle when they're meant to be staying in bed.
If we lecture our child or try to reason with them when they don't understand, we may accidentally teach our child that their behaviour can get them lots of attention.
Cousin George, you're on the bench again and you picked up the phone. What if somebody was trying to ring me? For goodness sake, I've told you hundreds and hundreds of times. And you broke the bowl this morning, cousin. And look, you've got your shoes on and I've just cleaned the bench. I'm going to have to clean it all over again.
What we have to ask ourselves as parents is how much of an audience is our youngster getting for behaviour that we don't like happening.
Declan, if you're going to make that racket, you can go outside. You can go outside for making that much noise. Off you go, outside please.
Another accidental reward can occur when the problem behaviour leads to the child being given an opportunity to take part in an enjoyable activity. If the problem behaviour causes disliked activities to end, then this can also accidentally reward the problem behaviour.
You're not walking properly, so we're going to have to go home.
Repetitive behaviours such as rocking, hand flapping and passing objects over skin can continue because children find the sensations they create rewarding in themselves. These behaviours can also occur to block out confusing and distressing stimulation in their environment.
Minor problem behaviours which are a normal part of a child's development, such as rocking back and forth and sucking fingers, can be more common in children with disabilities. They can also be more severe and last longer. A second cause of behaviour problems is what we call the escalation trap. This is a situation where a child is wanting something, and if they're being ignored, they learn to turn up the volume and become more insistent and demanding and louder.
And it's too messy.
All the bubbles.
No bubbles. Mummy's too busy and it's too messy. No bubbles. No bubbles. Mummy's too busy and it's too messy.
And so right at the point where they're at their worst, really upset and angry, a parent perhaps says to them, have it, just take it, but stop.
Oh, here, have the bubbles then. There.
Now what the child is learning in that situation is that when you don't get what you want, you escalate and then you get what you want. Parents can also get caught in the escalation trap. Here's how it works. A parent asks their children to turn off the television.
Thomas, turn the TV off now, please.
The child ignores, the parent gets louder and may even threaten him.
I said turn the TV off and come to the table. Thomas, turn the TV off now.
And when the
come to
parent is
table.
well and truly angry, the child gives in.
What is the parent learning in that situation? Hey, the only way I can get my youngsters to cooperate is to yell and shout at them.
Children can learn to misbehave because parents don't pay enough attention to them when they're behaving well.
Oh, at last he's playing by himself. I finally get a moment to read the paper.
So a youngster can learn that the only way to get an audience or to get a reaction is to turn up the difficult behaviour. Children also learn a great deal about their world and how to behave through watching others.
Got the juice.
Justin, don't leave the table.
There are many different sorts of behaviours that children can pick up by observing others. Minor behaviours like leaving the table or swearing, or more serious behaviours like hitting, shouting or screaming.
Justin, didn't I tell you to put that bike away?
For example, if a child hears mum or dad yell and scream and shout and gets their own way through that tactic, what is the child learning?
Jaden, didn't I tell you to put that fire engine away?
All they're learning is how this works. This is a strategy that I can use to get my own way, and so what you often find in families where there's lots of yelling and screaming and shouting amongst adults, there is often similar behaviour in their children.
The way we give instructions to children can also have an important role in influencing their behaviour. For example, sometimes we may simply give children too many instructions.
Are you listening? I want you to pack up all this game, put all the sticks in the box, the tree in the box, every monkey. Take the box, put it into your closet, pick up your shoes, bring your shoes and one new toy to play with back here, okay?
Every time an instruction is given, there is an opportunity for children to be disobedient. Also, if instructions are given so quickly that the child does not have a chance to follow them, problems can occur.
Sometimes the opposite can cause a problem, when our children receive too few instructions. For example, if we don't give our children enough instructions on how to cross a road, they're going to find it very difficult to do it safely.
Be careful when you cross the road.
Alexis, put your shoes on please, it's time to go.
We can also expect too much of children by giving instructions that are too hard or beyond their abilities. Another reason children can have problems with some instructions is if they're poorly timed.
Time for your bath.
For example, if a youngster is engrossed in their favourite TV program, it's probably not a good time to ask them to do something. You're more likely to have difficulties. We can also be too vague.
Justin, come on, I'm nearly finished.
When an instruction is given in such a vague kind of way, it doesn't tell the child what to stop doing, nor does it tell the child what's appropriate. There's a similar problem if we phrase an instruction as a question. For example, if you say, "Would you like to come and have a bath now, dear?" That's expressing an instruction as a question. You need to be prepared in that situation for the child to say, "No thanks, Mum."
Sometimes we can convey through our body language a message that's not consistent with the instruction that we're giving. For example, if we're asking a child to do something and at the same time laughing and giggling at them being disobedient with the instruction, the child is getting a very mixed message.
Jump on the bed. How many times? No jumping on the bed. Come on. Here we go.
Also, if we give long-distance instructions, that is, if the parent is just too far away from the child is less likely to comply. For example, if you ask a child to pack up or turn off the television, you will rarely get cooperation, even if the child can hear you clearly.
Declan, you need to pack your toys away. Breakfast.
Children are more likely to be cooperative if the routines and activities in their homes are predictable. These routines might include the order in which tasks are done in the morning, at bedtime, or when it's time to go out.
Some children take longer to learn family routines and what is expected of them at various times of the day.
Today, we're doing something different. We're going shopping and we're going to visit Grandma. Okay?
Children can also become comfortable with routines and get upset when they are changed.
Come on, sweetheart.
Emotional messages mean that we focus on the child being a problem rather than the child's behaviour.
Oh, Emily, look at the mess. What's Nana going to think of you now?
Name-calling, abuse, or trying to make our children feel guilty can make them resentful and uncooperative.
One of the most important reasons children develop behaviour difficulties is the way in which parents discipline their children. If punishment is used without also using strategies to increase desired behaviours, the relationship between parents and their children can deteriorate and children's behaviour can get worse. Some kinds of punishment can actually cause other problems to develop. For instance, shouting and yelling at children frequently lead to arguments and an escalation in behaviour. Smacking your child can teach them also to be aggressive.
Punishment that's threatened and not carried out is a particular problem.
Robbie, if you don't ride that horse properly, I'm going to take it outside and give it to the rubbish man.
If there are no backup consequences, children will often learn to ignore a parent's instructions.
Start riding the horse properly.
When punishment does not occur immediately after an event, children are less likely to make the link between the punishment and the behaviour.
Oh. Go inside?
No.
Okay, off we go.
I want to do it.
Robbie, because you misbehaved at the shop, you have to go to your room now. Can you stand on your feet, please?
Another problem is when punishment is given in anger. There's always a risk of losing control and hurting a child. Punishment can also be used as a response to a crisis. Sometimes parents wait until their child's behaviour has become unbearable before doing something about it, with the risk of overreacting. A final problem is inconsistent punishment. Inconsistency makes it difficult for children to learn what's expected of them. Behaviour problems can arise when instructions and rules are not consistently applied from day to day.
The AFL Tribunal has suspended Geelong's Ronnie Burns
Mom.
and Jordan Durring for striking.
Remember, the plan is to ignore him.
Oh, look, I'll just go and settle him down.
In two-parent families, problems can arise when parents contradict each other or don't back each other up in front of the children.
I think it's also important to remember that our own beliefs, our attitudes and our expectations of children can influence our parenting.
Look, I know she's 4, but intellectually she's only at a 2-year-old level, so she's going through a terrible twos.
When in fact it's the sort of behaviour that needs to be dealt with so it doesn't turn into a more difficult problem later on.
Oh, he's just taking so long to get ready. He knows I'm in a rush. He's just doing it to annoy me.
This belief can create a lot of resentment and can lead us as parents to overreact in a situation that we might otherwise have reacted more calmly to. It may also stop parents from looking at how their own actions contribute to the problem behaviour or what the child needs to be taught.
Yes, we went to therapy yesterday and it did go quite well. But Mum, they did suggest that I could start toilet training Alexis, and to be honest, I'm not sure if it's a good idea because she's got Down syndrome.
This belief can stop parents from trying to teach their child new behaviours or from changing their child's behaviour. This can result then in a lack of development or lack of change that parents predicted.
Oh, I'm such a lousy parent. I should be able to teach you how to do things better.
This belief blames parents for the child's problem behaviour. Parents may feel guilty and depressed if they think that they are to blame for their child's behaviour. This makes it even harder to be patient, calm and consistent.
Have you noticed that Jay's only started swearing since he started school? I think it's about time that the school took responsibility for it and did something about it.
Believing that the problem behaviour is someone else's fault, such as their partner, their child's sibling or teacher, leads parents to believe that there is nothing that they can do themselves to change things. Parents can feel helpless and frustrated and unmotivated to do something about the problems themselves.
Well, I know he can do it for himself, but you can see how much trouble it is for him. Sure, it doesn't hurt to help him when he's in trouble like that.
For a child with a disability, increased nurturance, attention and support are an appropriate way to respond to certain aspects of their behaviour. However, increased dependence upon parents and more misbehaviour can occur when parents give more attention and rewards when children cry, are helpless or misbehave than when they are behaving well or learning new skills. Children need a warm, loving, caring environment. However, some youngsters grow up in a family situation where there is a lot of tension between their mum and dad. When children are exposed to this, it is often very distressing for them and they can become aggressive, anxious or depressed.
How parents feel can also influence children's behaviour. If a parent is feeling depressed, exhausted, angry, anxious or upset, it's much more difficult to be calm, patient and relaxed about parenting. It's also more difficult to monitor children's behaviour and to be consistent and decisive. Parents usually have mixed emotions when they learn that their child has a disability. This is normal. But if their emotional response doesn't settle or results in strong negative feelings over a long period of time, parenting can be more difficult. Stress is part of everyday life. All of us have to deal with problems from time to time, but children need routine, and stress in the family can disrupt normal routines. If you have serious or long-standing problems with feelings, stress or relationships, you should seek professional advice. All influences on children's behaviour do not happen in the home, and parents shouldn't blame themselves for everything their children do. Their relationships with friends, difficulties with learning or school in general can also cause problem behaviour. Children with a disability may need additional support and encouragement to succeed at school. There's also what they read, see or hear in the media, and that includes television, movies and what they access on computers. It's up to us as parents to monitor what they're reading and watching.